Whichever way you look at it, the goalkeeping situation at Manchester United has been and has proven to be one of the hardest things to sort for most Manchester United regimes. Like, you don't have to go too far into the annals of history to know that even the best operators have struggled to find the right person for that position. And Gary Neville says a lot of things, but I have to agree with him on this, that being a Manchester United number one goalkeeper is one of the most scrutinised, if not the most scrutinised position in world football. All of the eyes are on you, and you have to not only have the quality, but you also have to have the mentality in order to make that situation okay for you. And it's taken some of the greatest goalkeepers in history to actually feel at home in between the sticks at Old Trafford. We're talking Gary Bailey, we're talking Harry Gregg, we're talking more recently Peter Schmeichel, Edwin van der Sar, David De Gea. But all of those players have something in common, is that they have the mentality and they know what it takes to be Manchester United goalkeeper, and they can back it up with how they act. Because almost every single one of those goalkeepers are different from one another. They have some which are fiery, some which are, they command their area and they want to make themselves and their presence known to people and the defenders, and they come out with violence and they make sure that nobody comes into their territory as a goalkeeper, like a Peter Schmeichel, like a Gary Bailey. You also have the calm angle of things, who just want to keep things stable at the back to make sure that everyone has that aura of predictability, that they can rely on the goalkeeper, like an Edwin van der Sar. And then you have some that just pull out every single trick in the book to stop the ball from going in the back of the net, which was David De Gea. When we went to move on from David De Gea, I thought that it was the right time to move on, but I think that we moved on to the wrong person. And before we get into all of that, I want you all to drop a like on the video, subscribe if you're new. We are trying to hit 10k as soon as possible, and the giveaway, once we do so, is going to be magnificent. And the support on the channel has been absolutely awesome, and it's just made me want to keep doing more and more content for you guys in loads of different strands, loads of different ways. So please do subscribe if you haven't already, and get in the comments. I read every single one, so get in the comments right now, because we're here to talk Man United goalkeepers. My favorite topic of all is goalkeeping, so I'm going to enjoy this one. So let's get into it. When it comes to David De Gea, like I say, I think that it was right to move on from him, because it wasn't just the occasional howler he was making routine mistakes, and there were clear fundamental issues in some of his game that the opponents were starting to pick up on. All you had to do was lump the ball on top of David De Gea, and that was it. He wasn't going to claim it, he wasn't going to come out for it, and with the ball at his feet, he could glide a little pass over 50 yards, maybe, but getting the ball started quickly with the ball at his feet, he wasn't very good at. His distribution overall, I think, needed to be improved. And the game was moving to a point where you have modern ball playing goalkeepers, but also have that ability to sweep the ball from under the noses of the opposition. The sweeper keeper. It's been going around for ages. We're moving back towards that now. And still, I think David De Gea is one of the best shot stoppers that Manchester United has ever had. I think he is one of the best. And it does annoy me that we moved on to a goalkeeper like Andre Onana, who was so far away, onto the modern goalkeeper, that we forgot what a goalkeeper is really there to do. So while I agree that we should have moved on to find a goalkeeper that was somewhere in the middle of those two things, we opted for the wrong guy. I think David De Gea was a brilliant servant to Manchester United. He knows he's a brilliant servant. I think every Manchester United fan can accept that. But we did need to move on. I just think we moved on to the wrong guy. Now Andre Onana, weirdly, I actually think he has the mentality to be Manchester United goalkeeper. I think he has the mental fortitude to understand that if you make a mistake, you're not just going to cower away, that you bring the onus of responsibility onto yourself, onto your shoulders, and you say, I made that mistake, hopefully it won't happen again, and we're going to continue building forward. But as I'm sure you can all agree, there have been too many of those howlers now. Far too many of them. And these are routine mistakes. And the word fundamental is something I'm going to keep coming up with a lot when we get onto the goalkeeper that we might replace him with. With fundamentals, you have to have the clear ability to just be a goalkeeper. Like for me, if I ever see a goalkeeper try and save a shot towards any side of them with both hands, I'm scared. Because watch what happens, okay? Little bit of biology for you. Look, one arm. See how far that goes out? Look at my wingspan. I can go backwards. I can do all sorts of stuff. I can save the ball there, whatever needs to be happening. Look what happens to... Just keep your eyes on that hand as I bring my other hand in. You see how it came in? It's just biology, people. So when you start doing this sort of stuff and that sort of stuff, automatically you're bringing your wingspan down. Why would you do that? You're a goalkeeper. We need your wingspan. So ultimately, when I started seeing him do that and I started seeing him fumble the ball, and quite frankly, we didn't even see anywhere near the level of technical proficiency with the ball at his feet, then I was like, why the hell have we got you then? Like, mentality is not enough. You need to back it up. And unfortunately, Andre Onana cannot back it up. I think he's a good goalkeeper, but in order to be Manchester United's number one, he doesn't fit the bill. And the same goes with Altay Bayindir, who is everything De Gea was, but worse. And I don't mean that to be rude to the guy. He is a tall, slender goalkeeper that can pull off a very good, decent save every now and again. He's better at penalty saving than probably both the goalkeepers I've just mentioned. But when the ball's on top of him, he gets scared. He's 6'6" and he cannot impose his size or his strength on the game at all. So we need a goalkeeper, in my opinion. Now that we don't think Bayindir is going anywhere, maybe it remains to be seen if Onana goes anywhere between now and AFCON. But we need a goalkeeper that is clear of Bayindir, ideally hits the kind of age bracket and profile that Ineos are profiling at the minute, but also can knock on the door of the number one and say, I should be the number one instead of Andre Onana. The goalkeeper that we've centered on, in my opinion, is a very shrewd choice in Senne Lammens. Now, I'm not going to BS you, okay? I'm not going to be here and say, I watch the Belgian Pro League every single week. No, I don't, okay? But the one thing I will say is that as soon as we were linked with him, I started looking at my analysis on goalkeepers very differently. When you're looking at a goalkeeper, do not, I repeat, do not look at a highlight reel of their fumbles or of their best performances, because it doesn't paint the picture. What you want to see is his last 100 to 200 involvements in a football match, whether that's clearing the ball, claiming it, saving a shot, a penalty, whatever it is. You need to see the last ones that he's had over the course of the season. And there are a few accounts, amazing accounts on Twitter. One of them is United Baki, absolute legend, who posted literally his 400 last involvements in a football match over the course of the last 2 seasons. When you start watching that, you see him do simple stuff. You see him make some mistakes. You see him pull out some brilliant saves. That gives you probably the best profile of a goalkeeper in under a couple of hours of watching than you can ever hope to get from anything that you will watch. So if you're going to analyze a goalkeeper or any sort of player for that moment, look at how many involvements that they've had recently and what they've done with each of those involvements, because that will paint a picture in how you're going to watch them week in, week out. And when I see Senne Lammens, what I see is a good young goalkeeper that has that calmness about him. He isn't one of those shouty players. He isn't one of those really vocal organisers of the back line, to be honest. He's definitely one that leads by example and wants to preserve an era of calmness throughout his back line. And I don't mind that at all. Like I said, one of our best goalkeepers in history. Kind of foundational elements of his game was to instill that level of calmness in his back line. And Senne Lammens is that type of goalkeeper. Don't mince my words, he's not Edwin van der Sar. But he is a very good, stable, young goalkeeper. And when I've watched him, the few things that I've picked up on is he has a very good command of his positional state of where the goal is relative to where he is. He knows how to shut his angles down. When he does come to the ball at his feet, his decision making has been quite strong. And I really like his reflexing ability as well, because he uses every single part of his big 6'4", 6'5" frame, or 6'3.5", to stop the ball coming in at all types of different angles. And he's a brilliant penalty stopper, a very good penalty stopper. And he's overall available for a fee of around £17 million plus add-ons. In this market, that is an absolute bargain for a 23-year-old goalkeeper. But there's a couple of things to be wary of when it comes to Senne Lammens. One of them, I think, when you're at a place like Royal Antwerp, to go to a place like Manchester United all of a sudden, you can't just jump from one to the next. I think he will be the type of goalkeeper that will probably kick Bayindir out the club, personally, but knock on the door of Onana and play in some of the fringe games in different cup competitions, but also maybe get a string of games if he starts to show something in the Premier League in his first season. That's what I think is going to end up happening. And we'll see what happens after the fact. No problem, no skin off my nose whatsoever. I know he's not Peter Schmeichel, but Brondby to Manchester United is also a pretty massive step. But he's very good at some of the fundamentals that I've mentioned in terms of being a goalkeeper, but also one thing we have to be wary of is one of the fundamentals he's not so good at is claiming crosses. I've not seen him come out and command a 12-yard area. The 6-yard box is where he likes to live. He likes to stay on the ground, but this is something that Tony Cotton mentioned. I heard the quote recently in a documentary I watched on Manchester United goalkeepers, because I love watching that sort of thing. But it was with Tim Howard, and he mentioned in his autobiography, Tony Cotton, that when Tim Howard started losing his confidence, he started rushing out too quickly to only give the himself an option, a single option of being able to block a shot, and that was to physically block it. But when you stay on the line a little bit more, you give yourself the opportunity to make a save, to palm it away, to catch it. But when you come out rushing all the time, you're just going to block, and it's going to ricochet off you at some point. So I would prefer a goalkeeper to stay on their line a little bit more than one that rushes out all the time, which is what we've been seeing with a couple of other goalkeepers. But his handling ability is something that I don't question. I think his handling ability is very, very good. Like, how many times did David De Gea just get the ball, like pluck the ball out the air and hold it and didn't parry it and just got rid of the danger immediately? That's what I think Senne Lammens would bring to Manchester United. This could be our new number one goalkeeper. And he, from what I've seen so far, I don't know if he's ready to step into that. Quite frankly, I don't know if many goalkeepers are ready to step into that. But people are looking at like Gianluigi Donnarumma, who's probably going to go to Man City. And first of all, we're getting him for half the price of Donnarumma. And, you know, he's like 4 or 5 years, well, he's like 3 years younger than him, I believe. But the wages as well. Donnarumma was on something like 350k per week euros net. No, overall, sorry, gross at PSG. Lammens isn't going to cost anywhere near that much. And he's probably going to be the lowest paid goalkeeper at the club. And the fact of the matter is we are fixing our wage structure. We're fixing the profiles of the players in the squad. And I think no matter what, this is a good long-term solution for Manchester United. He's a good, stable goalkeeper that will provide us with the type of quality and the competition that the current goalkeepers need. I think it's a progressive step for Manchester United. I think signing a goalkeeper 1 or 2 years after Onana has already been stumbling shows that Ineos aren't messing around either. And also with some of the movings that we're getting out of the club, with some of the loans with obligations to buy and where that money will come in, when it will come in, I think it's just the start of more shrewd acquisitions of Man United. Like, if I were to say to you, we would get one outstanding player, then maybe you would bite my hands off of that, depending on who the outstanding player is. But personally, I look at the type of acquisitions like a Dorgu, like a Heaven, or like a Leon. I want to bulk out the squad with those types of players and get rid of the deadwood. And that's what I think this signing is a clear indication of doing in one of the most important areas of the pitch. To some, the most important. It's an interesting signing, exciting. I wouldn't go that far. I think it is an interesting signing and one that I'm pretty hopeful of, because I think this is a good acquisition for Manchester United. I think with his ball playing and with his claiming the balls at the area, that's what he's got to improve on. And I think he will. He's young enough to be able to add some stuff like that to his game. Bayindir has already looked a bit better at that, so I have no problem that Lammens can do the same. And as long as we just start to keep things simple with the goalkeeping, and our backline can continue doing what they're doing this season, but do it a little bit better than maybe what they did against Fulham, then I think we're going to have a pretty shrewd goalkeeper on our hands. So let me know what you think. I mean, overall, I look at Lammens as a really progressive step for Manchester United, and I also think that this is the type of signing that Ineos would want to make, and it's the type of signing I want to continue making in the future. So let me know what you think in the comments below. Are you happy with the Lammens deal? Did you want a different goalkeeper? And overall, how do you think he will fare in a Manchester United shirt? Let me know in the comments below. I do read and respond to every single one, and let's hit that 10k as soon as we can so that we can start pushing this channel even further to where I believe that it can go. I appreciate you all so much for the support. I hope you're enjoying the new style of content that's coming to the channel quicker and faster than it ever has, and I will see you on the next video.